Good day, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps Law Firm for Seniors. Welcome you to Helps YouTube Live today, February 19th. Good to have you here. My name's Eric, attorney for 46 years now, founder of Helps. Helps is a national law firm that represents seniors and disabled persons who owe a debt they can't afford to pay. We operate under what's called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that was passed in 1978, which provides if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors can't call or send you demand letters anymore. They have to communicate with the attorney, not you. And when people find out about Helps, they enroll in Helps, they give us the creditors to whom they owe money, we send out a cease and desist letter, and the harassment stops. And our second mission is to educate seniors how to maintain their financial independence, and that's why we have these YouTube live sessions Monday through Thursday, and I want to welcome you. I noticed there was I don't know where I got this. It said, imagine having to spend money on food, rent, and so forth instead of credit card bills. And yeah, that's what Helps does. We tell seniors that contact us that are struggling that they can choose to stop paying their debt if they don't want to, if they can't afford to, and they can use that money, their Social Security, their pension, their disability, their VA benefits. They can use it, for their basic needs. Congress protected this money for seniors. It can't be taken from you. So we have a chat feature. If you have questions, you can put it there, and then I've got things to talk about as we go on. Freedom asks, Eric, is it true that Trump and Musk are going to eliminate the FDIC protections on checking accounts? No, I've never heard that, and that would never happen. Okay. Does that mean my checking account is no longer protected as you have told me before? No, it's protected. You don't need to worry about that. Twice the amount of federal benefits that are deposited into your bank account, like Social Security, is automatically protected from garnishment in the event someone were to sue you and get a judgment, regardless of what monies are in there or where they came from. So if you got $1,500 in Social Security, $3,000 in your bank account is protected, even if some of the money was from something you sold on eBay or something you sold at a garage sale or a gift from a friend or a child or any other form of money. $1,500 times 2, what you get each month for Social Security or another federal benefit is protected automatically by your bank under federal banking regulations in effect since 2012. So don't worry. So if we were to get an income tax dividend back from Doge, would those funds be at risk of being garnished by a creditor? No. And I just read that today that maybe that's a possibility. If they save a bunch of money, maybe they're going to give a refund to everyone. I don't know. So, question, when living in an unlimited state and still working and have to file taxes and have assets and get a judgment and may get a 1099-C, do I have to be concerned about anything being taxed? Well, okay. So I'm not sure what your question is exactly. So, if your only income is Social Security, you normally don't have to file any tax returns. And you can have a little bit of income over that, up to maybe around $15,000, and there's still no taxes. But let's say you were required to file taxes, and you had a little bit more money than that. And then you had a debt that you didn't pay. You got a form from a creditor called a 1099-C, which is a notice from a creditor that you didn't pay the debt, and it gets sent to the IRS, and it says to the IRS that you didn't pay that debt, therefore you should be required to pay taxes on that money for that debt you didn't pay. If you're not required to file tax returns, we normally tell people you can just probably ignore the 1099-C. IRS doesn't follow up on those. They can tell from the computer system your only income is Social Security. You don't have to file tax returns. They don't worry about that. But if you were required to file taxes and you're insolvent, which means your debts exceed your assets, okay? Let's say you were renting and you only had an older car and you had 20,000 in debt, but your assets aren't worth anywhere near that, therefore you're insolvent and you're required to file a tax return, you could file Form 982 with the tax return, and there's a box you check off at the beginning that says, I'm insolvent, no tax. But even if you did owe tax, and you're modest or lower income, you probably qualify for what's called currently not collectible status, where you wouldn't have to pay that tax. We talk about that a lot here at Helps, and we got videos that talk about that you can look at. And this question comes up almost every day, so we'll talk about it. And you can always call us with your questions. So, living with an unlimited homestead, you're probably not going to have anything to worry about. Um, like I said, now if you're not insolvent and they have a 1099-C and yeah, I could theoretically there might be a tax involved. We don't give tax advice, but we give information. You can call us. We'll be glad to go over it with you. Okay. Um, so I talked with someone, and I thought I'd kind of relay this. A guy called this morning, or I called him back, and he was from Georgia. And he got Social Security, and then he works, and his income is about $1,200 per month. And he got served with a writ of garnishment. Okay, they served his employer. And as soon as he got the writ of garnishment, he took a leave of absence. Okay, now he normally gets paid every 2 weeks, a little bit over $600 every 2 weeks in Georgia. House is in his name only, but he's been married for 25 years. House is worth, let's say, $200,000 or $300,000. And then he's got a couple cars that are free and clear. Both of them are not new. One is a little bit newer than the other one, but they're both older. He has one bank account to which his Social Security goes. And he was worried about the garnishment. And he said, well, I asked him, he said, how much are you supposed to get next payday? And he said, 200 some odd dollars. Well, I explained to him, I said, in every state protects a minimum of $217.50 net per week, or he got paid every other week, so $435 every 2 weeks. And you're only going to get a couple $100 in this pay period. Your employer will protect the whole amount. You're not going to take anything out. And then I told him, I said, if you're worried about being garnished, you could go back to work and just work less hours. As long as you take home less than $435 net every 2 weeks, they wouldn't be able to garnish anything from you. He has a couple of judgments against him. Now, he did have a home that he owed a little bit of money on, but it was in his name only, but he'd been married for 25 years. I said, you could consider adding your wife's name to the home. That way, if there's any other judgments, there won't be a lien attached. But technically, there is a lien attached to the home. They're not going to take your home, but it means that probably the debt will need to be paid at some point, either when you refinance or when you sell the home. But to prevent other liens attaching for more judgments, if someone were to sue you down the road, you might want to consider adding your wife to the property as a joint owner with survivorship rights, since you've been married that long. Okay. Bottom line is, I told him you don't really need to worry. It's a practical matter. No one's going to come after your cars. Okay. Even though there may be equity in them over and above the exemption. But see, he owned them with his wife, so no, there's no issue with the cars at all. Pretty typical about what we talk with people. They call with these basic questions. We give them the information and assure them why they're going to be okay and why they don't need to worry. And I explained to him, I said, if you want our help, you can enroll in Helps. You're going to give us the creditors to whom you owe money. We're going to need their name and address and account number. We're going to send a cease and desist letter, and they're going to leave you alone. They're not going to bother you anymore. And that's the whole purpose of Help, so that you can have peace come back to your life. You don't have to deal with debt collectors. Now, he's got a couple judgments. I told him you'd send us a copy of the lawsuits. We're going to send a letter to the attorney who sued you, let him know that your income is Social Security, it's protected. Remind them of the protected nature of your bank account. Remember, I explained to him that, how much you get in Social Security. It was like $1,400. So I said, $2,800 in that bank account. Twice that amount is protected automatically. He had separate bank accounts from his wife, who also received Social Security. So nothing for him to worry about. Then here's one. A person contacted us, I think, on one of the questions on our YouTube Live was, can a married couple join helps and both use service? And my answer is absolutely yes. When people call, we're going to ask some basic questions. What's your name? Are you married or single? Okay. And then we're going to put your wife's name down or your husband's name down with you. And people can enroll either together or as an individual. Sometimes a person will call and the debt is only in, for example, the husband's name. Wife doesn't need to be part of helps. Okay. But if they both owe the debt, then they're both enrolled together as one person. Okay. So yeah, both can use the service. And we also tell our clients, if we enroll just, for example, let's say we just enrolled the husband and the wife didn't want to be part of help. So maybe she had some debt she owed, but she was paying on it and wanted to keep paying on it. Well, let's say 6 months or a year from now, she decided she didn't want to pay it anymore and her income's protected. Then we could add her into helps to her husband's account. There'd be no extra fee to do that. So yeah, if you have a spouse that later decides to enroll in helps, yeah, we can just add that person in with you to be part of helps. Whole purpose of helps is if you have a question or concern, you pick up the phone and you call, no matter how often. Okay? I asked about this card to pay my rent, and was told you can't unless you pay with. Well, yeah. So some seniors get what's called a Direct Express card. They don't have a bank account. A Direct Express card is, you can have your Social Security loaded on that card. It's like a debit card. Okay, it's protected. But you're right. A lot of landlords won't take a debit card to pay rent. But if you had a Direct Express card, I think you could probably turn it into a check to be able to pay a check. But you'd have to, that's one disadvantage with a Direct Express card. You may not be able to pay rent with it. But about everything else you can pay with a debit card. Okay? No one's going to take the protection of your checking. No, don't even talk like that. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Um, yeah. And if you read that somewhere or someone said that, they don't know what they're talking about. And it's sad that people do things like that they try to scare people when they don't need to be scared. Okay? Okay, this person contacted us from Florida. Okay, married, age 72. I'm working with Beyond Finance. We talk about them a lot. Okay, which basically offers creditors half and asks clients not to answer the phone. Okay, Beyond Finance is a debt settlement company for profit, and they virtually never will tell a senior that calls and has questions, by the way, you really don't need our help, Mr. Senior or Mrs. Senior, because your Social Security is protected, so is your pension. You don't need to pay this debt. They don't tell seniors that. Instead, they sign them up, sometimes putting a senior in utter poverty, making a payment they can't afford to pay. He goes on to say, a monthly amount is withdrawn from the client's bank account and put into a dedicated account. After 3 to 6 months, money has accrued and the creditors are ready to negotiate. And also they've been taking their fee out, and they structure their fee so they get paid up front at the beginning. Because when people finally realize they don't need Beyond Finance, Beyond Finance doesn't care. They've already been paid. Okay. I don't fully understand what happens if a creditor refuses to settle, nor if Beyond Finance has an answer to that situation. No, they don't. Okay. My question is, do you offer something better? If this company causes me to be sued, can you help? Any information is appreciated. Thanks. Well, yeah, if this person, we would have told this person, hey, your income is protected. You don't need Beyond Finance. Creditors can't take anything from you. So that was a few weeks ago, and then he calls back yesterday. Talked to one of the attorneys that helps, and this is what the attorney wrote down. This person called back. We completed the intake. We read paragraphs. We coded the fees, and he enrolled. He's presently with Beyond Finance, paying about $520 monthly. He has $40,000 in credit card debt. He's doing his bank currently with one bank checking account where his income is directly deposited. He will cancel with Beyond Finance and ask them to stop taking out monthly payments. But if they don't, I provide him with the information on how to stop an automatic payment. They should stop automatically. They should stop it for you. He has a credit union that he doesn't use any longer that he owes $10,000 to. They're very anxious and want the money, so he will likely forward that to us too. Yeah, he doesn't need to pay the credit union. He's buying a car through another credit union and wants to keep that. We emailed him an email on how to stop automatic payments and an email that explains how his bank account is protected from garnishment. He was very happy to find out about us. We also explained to him about YouTube Live, which we have today. Yeah, and so if you're an existing client, we ask you to share what Helps does with others, and I know a lot of you do. And if you're new, click the like button. Subscribe to our channel. The more people that watch our video and that like it, the more it's spread out and people find out about us, because a lot of seniors don't know this information that we talk about every day here at Helps. Okay. So Johnny asked, is there a limit on the savings if your only income has been Social Security from the past 20 years? Well, okay. First off, you don't need to worry about a bank account taking any money out of your bank account, period, unless you've been sued. And then they'd have to get a judgment. And if you get sued, there's usually a time period of at least 1 month, that's 3 months to 6 months, maybe even longer, before they eventually get a judgment. And then I've already explained, Johnny, how twice the amount of your federal benefits in the bank into which it's deposited, or the account into which it's deposited, is automatically protected. Now, if you have a separate savings account and your Social Security isn't deposited into that automatically, then no, that's not automatically protected. Now, it's still protected in the sense that the money in there was from Social Security. So if you got garnished, they could hold up the money in the savings account. Okay? And you'd have to file a challenge to garnishment or claim of exemption and be able to explain to the court that, hey, and show the court, hey, the money in this savings account came from Social Security, therefore the court would order it be released. Now, I suppose technically, if that money was in there for a long time and it accumulated some interest, the interest in that account might not be protected automatically. But I've never seen a court ever bring that up as an issue. They just order it be released. But most of our clients don't have this problem. I tell people, you may not really need to worry about a savings account. The interest you get is so small. But no, if you have Social Security funds and it's, let's say you got a lump sum payment for Social Security disability, and you kept it in a separate account. Yeah, if you got garnished, someone sued you and got a garnishment, yeah, they could hold up those funds, but the court would order them to be released. You'd have to file paperwork to do that. When that happens, which is very unusual and rare, we help our clients get them the information on how to do that. Okay? If a helps client has two special need kids only on Social Security, do they have to have separate helps accounts? No, no, no. I mean, uh, the kids probably don't owe any debt, so they probably don't need our help. Okay, uh, but if they have their own debt, then I guess it would be separate. Okay, but you talk to us about it. Okay, you gotta understand. Uh, maybe 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 of our clients get our help for free. Those that pay a very minimal amount. We want this to work for people. I'm under federal and state poverty levels. I can't pay monthly fee to you for your membership. Can we do pro bono? Yeah, we do that. We have kind of a guideline for that. You can call us and go over that. You know, we want it. We want to be able to help people. Okay, you got to realize though, some people, when you enroll in helps and you've been paying your credit card debt, you don't need to pay that anymore. Okay, so you've got money left over and available to you for your needs. I received a 1099-C for my dad from Discover this week, but my dad passed away in 2020. What do I do? Don't need to do anything. Your dad has passed on. Uh, Same thing. We got a 1099-C for my mom in 2024. You tossed it. Yeah, IRS they'll never say anything about it. If they ever were, you'd contact us. We'd tell you what to do, but they're not going to do that. Okay? We don't want you to worry. Okay. So, this person contacted us from Texas. I've been served and sued for an outstanding debt with Bank of America. I don't know what to do. I haven't deliberately stopped paying them. It got to the point that I could no longer afford the payments. Even after setting the payment plan, I still wasn't able to. I still wasn't able to afford to pay it. You're not going to need to worry if you get sued and your income is Social Security or a pension, disability, VA benefits. Uh, as long as you keep the balance in the account to which your Social Security is deposited less than twice the amount of your Social Security. If they were to sue you, get a judgment, and they happen to know where you bank, which is no guarantee they would know, and they tried to garnish your bank account, your bank will protect twice that amount automatically. And when this person calls helps, we're going to explain to them that they don't need to go to court. They don't need to do anything. There could be a judgment against them, but they're judgment proof. They don't need to worry. So this person contacted us from Pennsylvania, and they say, I'm concerned about my disability through Social Security and state retirement. I owe about $30,000 in debt. This has been due to health issues and a change in the living environment due to the cost of living that has rapidly increased. Between my monthly rent and my monthly benefit, and I simply paying for groceries and basic living expenses, I am unable to pay my creditors what I owe them. I've been avoiding them because I just don't know what to say to them because I don't have any money. I do not have any other income besides disability and state retirement benefits. I don't have money for an attorney either. You don't need it because you're not going to need one. And I'm just stuck and afraid that if they sue me, they will take my only means of survival. No. You get Social Security and state retirement. Your Social Security is protected. Your state retirement is protected under a federal law called ERISA, which is Employment Retirement Income Security Act of 1974. Now, most pensions are protected under ERISA, but if it's not protected under ERISA, then it's protected under a state law. So no one can take this person from Pennsylvania, no matter what state you're in, they're not going to take your Social Security, and they can't take your pension. It's protected. and you don't need to worry about paying the debt. You can't afford to. You need it for your food and medicine. I don't have money for an attorney. If you got sued, you're not going to need to answer the lawsuit or go to court. You know, when a helps client gets sued, what we tell our client is get us a copy of the lawsuit. We don't need the whole thing, just the first 3 or 4 pages. We're going to send a letter to the attorney that sued you. We're going to let them know that your income is protected. You can't afford to pay the debt. We understand they're going to get a judgment. Remind them of the protected nature of your bank account. We don't need to do that, but we do it anyway because they can't take your money in your bank account. Twice the amount of your federal benefit in there is protected automatically. And so I'm just stuck and afraid of if they sue me. A lot of seniors are worried about getting sued, and I understand that. So when you enroll in helps, we send a cease and desist letter out to the debt collector or the creditor, and I think it makes it less likely that they would choose to sue you. But if they did, you don't need to worry. All we need is a copy of the lawsuit, first 3 or 4 pages, and we're going to call you on the phone, explain why you don't need to worry. We're going to send you an email with a link to articles and videos from helps explaining why your income is protected, how your assets are protected, how your bank account is protected. And we're going to tell you to call us if you have any more questions or if you're ever worried or concerned down the road. Okay? That's, I think, probably one of the most important things about helps is that when you enroll in helps, you're a client not just for a few months or a few weeks, literally forever. So that if you got a new debt collection notice a year from now or 2 years from now from a new debt collector, get that to us and we'll send a cease and desist letter out to that debt collector, okay, that new one. And if you got sued a year or 2 or 3 years down the road, get us a copy of the lawsuit. Not going to have to go to court. We're going to explain to you why you're going to be okay. You can always look at these YouTube videos, or you can look at our other videos on our YouTube page. But you're not going to need to worry. You're going to be fine. Okay? Okay. 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 Let's see. Just checking if there was questions here I needed to answer. If I forget a question on the chat, remind me and I'll go back and find it or ask it again. I try to get all of them. But I know that some of you talk amongst yourselves and that's fine with me too. Okay, this person contacted us from Florida. Now, when I put this in here today, I may have answered this question before, but that's okay. I need to know about not paying credit card debt and if the creditors will put a lien on my home. Can the creditors foreclose on my home and I become homeless? The answer is no, you're not going to become homeless. Okay, no way. Okay, first off, in Florida, has an unlimited homestead exemption for almost all people with homes. In other words, they can't take your home no matter what it's worth, okay? If it's under a certain amount of acres, so yeah, which is virtually always the case. Will they put a lien on the home? If they sue you and got a judgment, it could become a lien on property owned in the county where the judgment is located. But you can have that lien removed if you go to sell the home. There's a paperwork you file with the court and you notify the attorney that has the judgment. And it gives you 6 months to sell the home where you would get all the money. The lien doesn't need to be paid. Okay? Can the creditors foreclose on my home and I become homeless? No, absolutely not. Even if you live in a state where you have equity in the home, more than what the state protects automatically under that state's homestead exemption laws. It's not the practice of judgment creditors in those states to ever go after a person's home. They simply don't do it. And I say that they don't ever do it. Okay? So you don't need to worry. If they were to do it, if you'd be the one out of a million where they did it, then there's things that could be done. So you don't need to stress about that. You're not going to lose your home. Okay? So this person, this was a comment, I think, on one of our YouTube videos. It says, from Mississippi, maybe? Oh, yeah. Hello, I'm from Mississippi. I have a loan and an installment loan on my payments are up to date. I get Social Security and a pension. Do I have to pay the loan? I do not want to lose my house. Well, if you have a mortgage on the home, yeah, you need to pay the mortgage payment, okay? Because they have a lien on the home, a mortgage lien, and they could foreclose, okay? But if you just have an installment loan that's not secured by the home, then no, you don't need to pay that debt. You know, they could sue you, they could get a judgment, could become a lien on the home, but they're not going to take the home. You're not going to need to worry about it, okay? Um, so here we go. Person calls us or contacts us from Colorado. I'm 63 years old. I recently totaled my car and I'm moving south about 200 miles. Well, my credit stinks. I lost both my parents last year, plus lost my son. I'm broke. I desperately need a car, but I can't get one because of my credit. I'm having to move to be with my partner, but worried about my credit score and if I can even get a place. Can you help guide me through my options? Thank you so much. So let's talk for a few minutes. First off, we'd be telling this person, you know, if you're on Social Security or retirement or pension and you have debt, you can stop paying that debt and you'll have that money available to you. Now, what about a car? You know, if your income is low, you know, you may not even be able to afford a car payment, even if you did have good credit enough to get a car. I tell a lot of seniors, you know, that call us, they may have a high car payment and they have a house payment or a high rent payment. I'd say, what's more important, your house payment, keeping the house, or the car? And most of the time they're going to tell me, well, keeping the house. Well, maybe the car needs to go back. You can't afford it, a car payment. So what do you do about transportation? Well, thankfully we live in an age where there's a lot of transportation options now. There's Lyft, there's Uber, okay, buses. But, you know, it's nice to have a car. Now, but we also have, you know, I'm old enough to remember that if you wanted to buy a car, you looked in the want ads in the back of the newspaper. Remember that? If you're old enough, you remember we used to go through the want ads and they had the car ads in the newspaper? No more. It's all on the internet. If you haven't thought about that for a long time. But all you have to look at is Craigslist. You look under Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. So when I look on Craigslist for a car, yeah, I'd put in Craigslist, automobiles, owner only, and I'd type in runs good, and I'd put a maximum amount I wanted to pay. And sometimes I'll help a kid or a friend buy a car, and I'll help and I'll tell them, you know, for Craigslist, for example, you look for a car from an owner that advertises that it runs good. You buy it from a dealer, and they're going to be buying it as is, and you can find pretty cheap cars on Craigslist that run pretty good. It may take a while. In certain parts of the country, more cars are available than others. And you say, well, Eric, I want a car that's mechanically reliable. Well, normally a person selling a car himself isn't going to tell you that their car runs good if it doesn't run good, because they don't want you calling them next week saying, why did you lie to me and tell me that this car was running good when it turned out to be a lemon? I just never had a problem with that. And a few years ago, I used to tell people you could easily find a car for $1,000 for less that way. Now, maybe it's a little bit more money now, okay? But if you look hard, you can find pretty decent transportation. Now, you may have to save up a few months to get the money together, but that's one way to find a car, either on Facebook Marketplace or runs or Craigslist. Runs good, owner only. The other advantage to that is, if you finance a car, they're going to make you pay extra insurance. You're going to have collision and comprehensive. Whereas if you have an older car, just want that your own car, you only need to have collision liability insurance. The insurance is going to probably be less than half of what you'd pay if you had to have comprehensive and collision. Okay, uh, if you only had to pay liability insurance bill, it's going to be a lot less. Okay, there's no magic way to get it solved immediately, but if you can save up for a few months and get a little bit of money together and look, you should be able to find a car that's going to be decent for you. This person writes in, it says, uh, you may have already said this. The one thing you should tell seniors like me who are at their full retirement age or older but continue to work, I got to put my glasses on here, earning other income in addition to Social Security, that this particular part of their income a creditor could get a judgment on. You're better off if you lose your health or loved one to quit your extra job. Am I right? How much could you actually earn? So I wrote him back. I think this was on a comment on one of our YouTube live sessions. And I said, some states, such as Texas, protect all income from garnishment by a judgment creditor. Federal law protects $217.50 net per week, about $950 per month from garnishment. And many states protect more than that. Okay? A creditor would have to sue you, get a judgment, and know where you're working. You may never even get sued, and then a creditor would have to know where you're working. There's no place a creditor can go to find out automatically where a person is working. I don't discourage any senior from hesitating to work to earn extra money if they want. The chance of a problem is very remote. Okay? And if there was a problem, you could either lower your hours, you could maybe file bankruptcy, depending on, there's no reason why you shouldn't work if you want to. Okay? And once again, it's not even an issue unless you're sued and they have a judgment, and then they have to know where you work, and that's not always easy to find out. There's no place you can go to find out where someone works. It's not on your credit report normally. No, it's not there. Okay. In any state, you need a lot of coverage with all the accidents. Collision has skyrocketed. Well, right. It has. But if you're a senior and you're on limited income and you got a car that's free and clear, uh, you collision covers your car. Liability, uh, well, liability covers if you get a wreck with someone else. So if you want to save on your insurance bill, you can get the absolute minimum for your state for liability insurance. Some states as low as $10,000. So let's say you're in a big accident, it's your fault, and you're responsible for a lot more than 10,000. Do you need to be worried? No, because remember your Social Security is protected. If they were to come after you and get a judgment against you for more than that, they can't take anything from you. So there's no reason that if you're a senior on lower income that you shouldn't have the absolute minimum amount of insurance. You don't need the maximum, you need the minimum. Okay? Save you a lot of money that way. Okay. Okay, this person writes in, I think it's another comment, I think I said. I've been, okay. I repeat the same things a lot, so forgive me, but because there's a lot of misinformation out there, or there's a lack of it, or there's people leading people astray, and that's what helps us here for, to keep everyone on the narrow path to realize what their rights are and what the law is and what happens in the real world, not not to talk about, well, Martians might come for dinner on Saturday night. You need to worry about that. No, you don't need to worry about that. So I've been listening to your videos. It all sounds great until you have to submit your IRS income taxes. My debts turned into a nightmare, taxes over debts being canceled. I received a 1099 from credit card debts that I can't afford that either. So in the end, they get your money or you go to jail. I'm a senior and I already got screwed. No. No. Oh. So I wrote them back, and this is what I said. This is not the case! Exclamation point. I believe we discussed a 1099 city in this video with Senior Living. I gave a link to a video. There's much misinformation on this topic. If a person is insolvent, meaning their debts exceed their assets, there is no taxes because of a 1099-C. IRS Form 982 can be filed, but even if there is a tax, many, if not most, lower or all lower income seniors can qualify for currently not collectible status with the IRS. And I gave a link to the video explaining that from Helps. So you don't need to worry about 1099-Cs. IRS is so busy, they don't follow up on 1099-Cs. Now, I'm not telling people they shouldn't pay your taxes. You should if you can. And if you're required to file your tax returns, you need to do that. That's the law. But you're not required to pay. If you can't pay the tax, you don't go to jail. There's no prison for not paying the tax. Now, you can go to prison in certain instances if you don't file a tax return, and you're supposed to, but that's not going to happen to you. It's going to happen to some really bigwig or some guy that frauds. No. So, no, you're not going to go to jail for not paying your tax. That's the least of your worries. I'm wondering if HUD will go away with the new budget cuts, and if so, how it will affect us seniors who may depend on Section 8 vouchers to pay rent. I cannot imagine in my wildest dreams that HUD would go away. Okay? It'll go away. It won't. From what I see from what's going on with DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, is they're looking for fraud. Okay? And there's plenty of examples they're giving of that type of fraud. I don't see legitimate programs going away, and Section 8 is definitely a legitimate program. If anything, my prayer would be that the Department of Government Efficiency can save us some money, and there's going to be more money available for Section 8, which we need to have more money for Section 8. Katrina says, everyone's worried about a 1099-C except me. That's right. I've been applying for Section 8 voucher waiting for 3 years. Well, okay. We do have an email that you can apply anywhere in the country. Okay? And there's some places have shorter waiting periods than others. Now, if you live in San Diego, you might be waiting for 20 years, I guess. That might be a real attractive place to live. And I'm just exaggerating. But also, you can move up on the waiting list. If you're a senior or disabled, there's a way to move up. We have an email that explains that could be helpful for someone. Sometimes I will tell people, and sometimes I'll tell people that have high rents or something like that, I'll tell them about Section 8. I say, consider applying for Section 8. And they say, well, I don't know, I'm not really interested. I said, There's nothing wrong with applying for it. And if you're offered it 2 or 3 years down the road, you may be real thankful that you applied for it when you did. It doesn't mean that if you're offered it in the future that you have to take it. So if there's a chance that it could be helpful for you, go ahead and apply for it. Okay? Oh, this person contacted us from Nevada. Okay, it's from a note from one of my staff. We read what we do. They enrolled, and he says we discussed, and they put in parentheses many times, and I'm about how the bank account was protected from garnishment. He has a pending lawsuit with Chase, and doing a little self-employment work. He's a sole proprietor and has a separate bank account for that. He knows just to have one bank checking account where his Social Security is directly deposited in no other bank. So he could take this money from his self-employment, put it in the account to which his Social Security is deposited. He doesn't need to have a separate bank account. And as long as he kept the balance in that account to which Social Security goes, then that self-employment income is going to be protected automatically under the protections of the Social Security, twice the amount of Social Security that's protected. Got it? You understand? Right. So, and we don't mind explaining to people many times what their rights are and how this works. That's what helps us here for. Okay. We tell people, call us back if you have a question or worried or scared. That's, we're not going to scold you because we've already answered the question a dozen times. We're going to tell you. Eventually it's going to get through and you're going to understand. You'll get it. We don't want to make you feel bad. No, there's nothing wrong with us explaining things over and over again. And it goes on to say he has an expensive vehicle that he really can't afford. We talked about, we sent him an email that talks about voluntary repossession. And also an email that we have affordable transportation that goes over the things that I talked about a few minutes ago. Okay? We also emailed him an email that we have on, do I have to go to court? And also an email that talks about what happens when a helps client is sued. See, we have a lot of preloaded emails on different topics that'll answer questions that you've got. And we're happy to send those to people. That's what we want. We want you to get plenty of information so you're educated. I don't want you to have to just listen to YouTube Live. We can get you stuff in writing. He enrolled. He'll try to get us a lawsuit information tonight or over the weekend so we can send out the attorney letter. See, we sent a letter to the attorney that sued him. Let him know that this guy's income is protected. He can't pay the debt. Okay? And the comment from my staff says he's a nice fellow. All our clients are nice fellows or nice gals. That has way too much debt, mostly credit card debt. And we also explain that he'll have a deficiency if he surrenders the vehicle. In other words, when the car goes back, they're going to sell it. You're going to get a letter down the road saying you owe this difference. It's called a deficiency. You're going to get that to us. We're going to send a letter back to this lender about the deficiency, and they're going to leave you alone. So this is what Helps does. We help people so they don't have to deal with the creditors anymore. This guy's from Nevada. It doesn't matter. We help people in all 50 states. Jerry asks, I'm on Social Security and only can't afford to pay credit cards. I got served papers being sued by Capital One and can't afford an attorney. I've watched your videos and that have helped. Thank you. You bet. No need to worry. If you're part of Helps, you get us that information. We're going to send them a letter letting them know that you don't need to worry. I was just going to say, for example, in some states they have court proceedings after they get a judgment that can be scary or intimidating to a senior. Florida is one of those. They have what's called a financial information sheet. Ask a gazillion questions about a lot of things that doesn't apply. And we help our clients fill that form out. We're not giving anyone legal advice. It's just just reading the form, But, if you didn't know your rights or didn't understand your income was protected, you got one of these forms, you might be scared to pick up the phone and call the attorney that sued you and make arrangements to pay when you don't have to pay. They're not obliged to tell you that your income is protected, that no one can take your Social Security. They don't have to tell you that. All they have to tell you is that we're a debt collector. Any information we get is used for that purpose. If I'm ever accepted for Section 8, does the apartment complex ask for this, or do I need to give them? I don't understand. If you have any questions that I don't answer or you're left hanging, always feel free that call us on the phone, 855-435-7787. 855 helps us or helps us, and we'll answer your question. We'll get you the information you need. So this person contacted us from New Mexico. Thank you for responding. I'm 71 years old and never had done this before. I'm retired, so hope that means something. I have no money for an attorney, so if they take me to court, I'll just have to wait to see what happens. I've offered a payment plan. See what they say. I guess it's my duty to make sure these big companies stay in business. I have no idea if they will make me appear in court alone, but I have no control over that. You don't consider my salary low income, so I'm at their mercy. Thank you for helping if you can. You're not going to need to go to court. You don't have to. If your income, Social Security, pension, disability, VA benefit, it's protected. And we got lots of videos that explain that, why you don't need to go to court and why your income is protected, why you don't need to worry. This person contacted us from Texas. Time is flying. They have two older manufactured homes side by side. They live in one and the daughter lives in the other. Portfolio recovery is a creditor that is trying to collect from them. We discussed the income protections and the bank account protections, and about judgments, and about how their home was protected. Okay? They called back a few weeks later and recently, ready to enroll. And she says, portfolio blows up her phone constantly. And so what they're going to do is they're going to add the daughter to the deed, so that way when they pass away, the property automatically is going to go to the daughter as survivorship rights. Yeah. So they're going to be fine. So this person contacts us from Texas. Second person from Texas. Age is 69. They have income of $1,200 per month. Health issues are preventing them from going back to work. They have payday loans, including Speedy Cash, Title Max, Snap Finance. And they finance jewelry, car, washer, dryer. Then we called back and explained about the different type of debt. The person's been dealing with consolidated credit. So let me talk about this for a second. their income is $1,200 per month. It's Social Security. It's protected. They don't have to pay the payday loans. They can stop paying them. Now, it says here that they put up some jewelry or washer, dryer, or maybe some other appliances as a lien for a loan they made. There's different types of liens. There's a lien called on personal property, like furniture or something like that. There's one type of lien is called a purchase money security interest. Is if you bought the item from a furniture store, they could have a lien on that furniture you bought from them until you pay for it. Okay, but then in some states, especially in the South, some lenders, high interest lenders, will claim security in some personal property you have, like your furniture, a bed, couch, TV, whatever, lawnmower. And it's called a non-purchase money security interest. It means property that you already owned. And they say, if you don't pay us, we have a lien on this property. You're going to have to give it to us. They do that to intimidate you, to thinking that if you don't make that loan payment, they're going to come take your sofa or your bed from you, or your dining room set, or your TV out of your living room. No, they never would do that. They can't do that. Practically speaking, they won't do it. First off, it's worthless. They know it. They just do it to intimidate people, thinking that, if you don't pay the debt, we're going to come take that. Or they would threaten you if you didn't pay the loan. First off, you'd never let them in your home to take the stuff, but I never see them even trying to do that. They just don't do it. They just use the threat to try to get you to pay. So you could stop paying these payday loans, Speedy Cash, Title Max. Now, Title Max may have a title to your car, which you might need to pay. We talk about that. Snap Finance, all the, yeah, we go over this when people call. And you can enroll in helps. You're not going to have to pay this debt. Your income's protected. A lot of these payday loan places don't even bother suing clients. When they enroll, we send a letter to the payday loan guys telling them, hey, our client's income is only Social Security. It's protected. They know then it's a waste of their time to sue you. It costs money for them to sue. So they typically not do that. But even if they did, they're not going to be able to take anything from you. So you're not going to need to worry. So yeah, this hour has flown by. Today is, I can't remember if it's Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. I hope. And if so, we're going to be here tomorrow. Okay, same time. If I haven't answered your question, you can always call helps. It's nice for you to put a like. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do that. Down at the bottom, you can click on the button, subscribe to our channel. The more subscriptions we have, we don't make any money off the subscriptions. It just makes YouTube spread out the word on our YouTube videos more. So thanks for participating today, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. God bless. Bye.